my Zoom class where this week someone said, where do you get the topics for your subjects for what you're drawing? And I say, at this point, yeah, I'm an urban sketcher and I like to draw this stuff like a champ, right? But I also like to focus on who are the saints, the gods, the goddesses, the healers, the magicians. Who are the ones that are considered helpers, right? Helpers and magicians, right? So this is Saint Bridget of Kildare, who her day is the feast on February 1st, right? And so we all drew her in 15 minutes, right? She was notorious for her radical generosity to the poor and to animals, right? And so I never was on the celebrity thing, Kardashian or whatever, but I'm really not at all, because these are my celebrities, the people that have historically and are known thousands of years later for their generosity for the underserved, right? Saint Bridget of Kildare was known for her radical generosity, right? And so there she is, 15-minute continuous line. There's her cross. I started right there with the cross and then went right into her hands, and oh my goodness, drawn with my Fude and then my brush pen and then saturated inks, right? And then, because there's always two from the class, we went right outside to the the cemetery, the graveyard, right? And honestly, one of the biggest challenges is drawing these Celtic crosses, so hard. But really what I tried to do is just focus on the shadow. Focus on the shadow. That's what I say. And then there's the sheep. I was drawing this one with my Pentel brush pen because it's an aggressive pen, but it's just really beautiful, isn't it? And to get the side of these Celtic crosses. So there's that goes with St. Bridget. And then in the Tuesday class, we did a little feature on California's agricultural sector. This is actually a version of the murals from Coit Tower in San Francisco, right? I did an interpretation of it because it's pretty complex. If you've ever seen those murals, they're absolutely incredible, and they fill not the whole tower, but the bottom of it, right? And they're all about the industrial revolution after FDR's New Deal. So it's a beautiful story of American industry, and specifically in California, right? So there's an interpretation of the orange pickers in California in continuous line. And then we went up to Coit Tower itself. I used my Pentel brush pen for this. Not my brush pen, my Pilot Parallel. I'm getting my pens all confused here. And it does not quite Coit Tower, but close. And then all the buildings down in front of it, right? So, and then using my saturated inks, right? Looks like bats, right? And then in the other class, we did Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc, another missionary who, she was like killed at 19 for how she led the French resistance. Now I'm getting my wars all. She was pretty big in helping the French, right? And her statue is in front of Montmartre, the Sacré-Cœur in Paris, right? So there's Joan of Arc. Is she in the 1400s? Now I'm getting my years all mixed up. Joan of Arc with the Pentel brush pen, right? And then I went back to my, I don't know why I'm getting my pens all mixed up. My Pilot Parallel, and just did Montmartre from the distance, right? Isn't that lovely? And I think I did most of it, after I drew my Montmartre, I went in with a few watercolors, right? I wanted it to be soft and pink, right? So that's what we did in our class. This was one of the patterns that we did, the gargoyles from Notre Dame, right? Just like very quickly. They're kind of weird looking. They're like goats and devils, but those are gargoyles, right? You usually don't see them because they're too high up. So yeah, there's my deal on this almost last day of January and the last day of the coffee sketch. I've been doing my coffee drawings in Procreate, which has been a very interesting challenge because I'm not used to drawing in every day at all. And so I feel like Procreate is kind of like Photoshop. When you fall into it, you could like spend years in there because the possibilities are super endless. And so I was just trying to be really concise with my tools. I have one palette and I have one pen, and generally speaking I stayed with those and just tried to play with the whole idea of coffee sketch, right? Because I've done years of drawing my coffee cup, which is super cool, and I want to applaud. I've seen so many super creative ways that people have drawn their coffee cups and telling stories around them, right? Like, not especially, but there have been people who have done this coffee sketch a few times, and so they kind of also, like me, just kind of had to take it next level and just up the ante, right? Like, it's cool to draw coffee cups. I saw a lot of people draw on the continuous line coffee cups, but it's also super cool to like, where can my creativity take me? How can I take this coffee cup to a whole new place? And that is creativity, my friends. That is how you like push through, because you don't sit around and going, I wonder if he'll be arrested today for the crimes he's been committing on TV for years. No, that's not going to happen, right? So instead, people are spending their time like, how can I draw my coffee cup in a way that I haven't drawn it yet, and that is kind of pushing me. Now, I'm sure no one is saying these words literally, but it's just pushing my creativity to a place where I hadn't been before. But don't get me wrong. If you're drawing a coffee cup, the same coffee cup every day, that's also a way to push through your creativity, because it just like, your mind might say, well, it's time to do something else. And your artistic brain goes, no, we're going to do this, and we're going to do it again, and we're going to do it again and again. And that is how the whole idea of 10,000 hours to mastery is through repetition and practice, right? Like, you can have all the best materials in the world. I highly recommend Sharpies for this sort of thing. You can have the best materials in the world, but if you're not practicing and if you're not putting them to use, your art progress stays as it is with lots of pretty tools. So my thing always is like, through practice, all things are possible, right? And something as simple as a coffee cup can seem very mundane, but look at what everyone has done, and you'll see, Rosie, what are you doing? You'll see that like people have taken coffee cup to a whole new level. And so I just want to applaud everyone that has been dedicated to their drawing practice every day for this month. It's super cool to see.